Esports, so moving into Dragonshire, one of the faves here for Dignitas.
Dragonshire is, of course, a fantastic map here for Dig. They're currently sitting on an 8-0 track record on Dragonshire. So a very cool map for them to start things off with, and they are, of course, aiming for another big victory here. But Tricked looked really good against the Zealots, and we know that they're a bit inconsistent, but as we already heard in the interview, they're absolutely willing to throw a curveball here today and see if maybe they can surprise their opponent.
Yeah, their spirits seem to be higher lately. Of course, their win with Leftovers helped out with that, and then, of course, the win over Zealots, and then you get the interviews in, and it feels like, okay, we've started to find our rhythm again. But that rhythm, will it be able to push through Dignitas? Dignitas has been completely destroying the opposition this season. Remember, 11-1 so far in their matches.
Yeah.
Only have 2 more to come, as they'll be going for those 14 games in total. But they have won every single series that they've had since the Western Clash, obviously. All 5 of them have been a win in their department. So Dignitas has been on fire.
Yeah, and actually, since we already heard from Grand Paquette earlier, they said, well, we're qualified for the playoffs, it's all that we can achieve. But with them taking down Zealots, there's all of a sudden a chance that, you know, they can rise in the standings a little bit, and through that, have a chance to maybe dodge 1 or 2 games here. So there is a bit of an opportunity for Tricked Esports today.
Well, let's head into it here as we prepare for our drafts. Medivh has been a hot topic as of late. Phoenix also a topic this weekend, as he is now allowed to be played here in the HGC. He's got a lot of play so far, but it seems to be the consensus is that Hanzo is actually a better pickup than Phoenix when it comes to slamming out a hero for the assassin pool.
When it also comes to Phoenix in particular, I feel Tricked has shown some good games with him where we had at least an impact. And you mentioned Hanzo, and he gets banned out here immediately. Wow. So straight up ban. Dignitas, very much like what we've seen from Team Liquid recently, is going straight into the ban on Tracer. That has become more of a theme here on them if they don't aim for the first, or if they don't have the first pick position. But yeah, Phoenix is still a hero that we are going to watch out for. We've talked a lot about how much potential he has in certain compositions. But if you just look at the track record of the hero, it is not really impressive. 11 games played in Europe with Phoenix, and only 5 of those are victories. So he's currently sitting sub 50% win ratio. Medivh, on the other hand, he is the game changer.
Yeah.
And Tricked Esports with a very quick first pick here on him.
He literally changes how you play the game. Your positioning suddenly is not something that you even have to think about. You have to have more teamwork, right?
Yeah.
You'll be able to deal with the portals that are coming your way. He can just jump across with the rest of his team and take you out. Medivh has been a powerful force the last couple weeks here in the HGC, and Team Dignitas will have to find a way to control that. And they obey with a Maiev and a Muradin.
Maiev and Muradin right off the bat. I mean, we know that Muradin is a high priority pick for Dignitas on Dragonshire. This is actually a theme that we have seen over the last few weeks. Muradin has been played 3 times by Dignitas on the map, and they have, of course, been victorious every single time. They are also very much in favor of picking Uther on this map. 6 times did they play Uther in the 8 games that they played here, so there's a good chance that even with Stukov and Malfurion currently being very strong, that Dignitas still goes into the Uther play. That's something that Zelia loves to do here. And Maiev, of course, is throwing a bit of a twist into this entire endeavor here. Very Team Liquid what Dignitas is currently doing, since Dig has played Maiev in the past, but no team has as many games on the hero as Team Liquid.
Well, Phoenix comes out for that assassin play, as mentioned. Tricked Esports picking up their second, and then the Anubarak, who's even gotten more popular this weekend. Yeah. The coordination from a lot of our teams, bringing out the cocoon and forcing down a target and getting a number advantage at the start of a fight, has been instrumental for a lot of victories.
Yeah, exactly. Anubarak is super powerful right now, and a lot of teams have gone back to him, trying to go for this dive-heavy style that they are trying to execute. Team Liquid has been talking about it. We have a lot of games played by Fnatic, for example, with Anubarak as well. And also talking about Maiev again, Dignitas has played 1 time with Maiev in league play in Europe, and they lost that game. So this is only the 2nd time that they're playing with Maiev. But Maiev is sitting at a 53% win ratio, but that's largely because of how successful Team Liquid is with the hero. 11 games played, 8 wins and 3 losses. Team Liquid excels with Maiev, and today Dignitas is prioritizing her even as an early pick. Which is a bit surprising, to be honest. I think that's really a pick they could have just postponed a bit and taken later on in the draft.
Feels like they believe this is one of the best ways to deal with Medivh, so they want to grab it so really be able to control those portals. Now, Thrall gets banned out, and Thrall, again, has also gotten popular this weekend. The ability for you to finish off Echo of Elements at level 1 talent, once you finish that, it feels like you can contest any top laner to wave clear in terms of damage as well, just because you get that Mana Tide at level 4, and Thrall has been paying off for a lot of our teams, especially when you think about post 10. The Earthquake has been a great tool for making sure to set up a lot of damage and setting up your team to force a fight.
Over the course of 2018, Thrall is sitting at 11 wins and 15 losses. But we came in last weekend with Thrall sitting at an 0-5. But even without those 5 losses that happened in Part 1, Thrall is still roughly below 50%. So he's definitely a hero that has heavily popped up in the meta again. And for some teams, they had great success with him, especially because of the Echo of Elements that you talked about. The level 7 also giving you a lot of sustain and a bit of burst potential here in big fights. But Thrall is still sitting at a spot where he's a good option, but he's not necessarily an immediate go-to. But the poke potential is something that for an offlaner is fantastic.
And another reason why you pick him up too is to pair him with Phoenix. Getting that salvo when you mix it with the Earthquake, the Plasma Cutter as well. Usually you can get Phoenix to get that damage out there and shred opponents. So again, Team Dignitas taking away a very solid top laner and also take away that combo that Phoenix and Thrall brings to the table. Now Malfurion and Junkrat. Snitch, bring out the Junkrat again.
Junkrat definitely a Team Dignitas special. They are absolutely fantastic with the hero and currently are sitting at 6 wins and a single loss with Junkrat. It's really interesting because for other teams, Junkrat has started to fall off slightly. We still see him picked, but he's not as dominant in the draft anymore as he was just 2 weeks ago.
I actually kind of wonder if that's going to be a Voik Junkrat with Maya being played by Snitch. Just knowing the roster and what they would play. Moving into support here, Tricked Esports. Maybe even Cleanse actually. Stormbolt. Maiev Tether, Malfurion Root, kind of want to get your teammates out. Rehgar could be sitting here. Uther would be pretty solid too, but Rehgar is the first pick and they go straight into it.
Yeah, having the cleanse available now too. And the question of course remains, what is Dignitas going to head into as the last pick? Now they play with Malfurion here, and Malfurion is still by far the best hero for Xaylia. 15 wins and 3 losses. That's an impressive track record on any support. As we said before, he also absolutely excels with Uther. With Uther, he's sitting on 11 wins and a single loss. Stukov is really the hero where he doesn't have as much of an impact as other teams. It's really one of those flavors where Dignitas has mostly decided that they are not quite on the bandwagon just yet. They only played with Stukov 5 times, whereas for most other teams in Europe, it's really the dominant pick at this point. Trying to play around the silence, the shove of course as well, and always going for the displacement, which especially teams like Team Liquid and Zealots are displaying nearly every single game.
Now who's going to be the top lane here for Dignitas? You could put Maiev up there, that would be Wubby on the Maiev. We've seen him play a little bit here in Hero League occasionally, but Sonya's on the field. Malthael could go well here too. Yeah,
the problem also is that if you want to have Maiev on the off lane, you normally try to get Abathur in, or at least someone else who can rotate. Genji, if you wanted to have Maiev on the off lane, would be an option because you try to just help Maiev out, attack the hero that faced Maiev on the solo lane, burst it down, but she herself, without any support whatsoever, would have a very, very rough time against Blaze. Would probably lose the lane here. So Dignitas, with that in mind, goes and drafts a proper solo laner. It's Dehaka, and that again is a hero that has fallen off heavily, so right now we have another global hero in play.
And it is Wubby on the Dehaka though. He has made a name for himself with that Dehaka, always land those tongues coming at the perfect time for that global ability. So looking to have the double soak available, especially towards the mid-stage of the game. Looks like a pretty solid poke comp here from Dignitas with the ability to force fights. Junkrat should be pretty annoying. And then of course Murden can jump over a wall and get those picks in that top lane if we ever want to get a full fight. I'm looking at this. It looks good for both teams. I'm just more curious about how that Phoenix factor is going to pay off.
For me, it's Dehaka, because Dehaka has fallen off heavily since a lot of teams simply realize that in the current Brawly meta, if you miss the tongue with Dehaka, you're going to be in trouble. We have seen fantastic Dehaka players in Part 1 and also Part 2. We've seen it on the Korean side, where especially last year, for example, Jongha single-handedly shut down Rich on Illidan back then, just through his Dehaka play with isolation and with the Drax. So that's something that's always fun to see if you have a good Dehaka player on it. And there's very little that we see on the side of Tricked Esports that can deal with it, because in the past we've seen ETC players or also Lucius just trying to make sure that you push the target back. Even Li Ming's Dehaka burrows in, a wave of force comes out, he misses the drag, and all of a sudden he doesn't get the value that you want in a team fight. But Dignitas is the most successful team with Dehaka. They have played Dehaka 11 times and won 8 out of those 11 games. So Wubby, of course, a monster on the offlane, and he can showcase once more how much of an impact with Dehaka he can have.
Part of it, too, just that on top of that, is that teams have just gotten better at dealing with that burrow coming in. A lot of teams will make sure to keep the other 4-man away and just come back and just completely collapse on the Dehaka. And if you are not on point with that burrow, or if you don't have the essence available, you get deleted. He's actually a bit of a squishy character.
The one thing that Dignitas has to be careful about is that since we saw earlier, with all the signs now going into the predictions, there is still that hashtag get tricked to be considered. So need to be careful. We don't know who's going to get tricked. It's either going to be Dignitas or Tricked Esports themselves. But let's jump into game number 1 and get a first glimpse of how this series is going to go to the left side of the map. Here on Dragonshire, we have Team Dignitas with Snitch playing Maiev, Azalea on Malfurion, Wooby on Dehaka, JPL on Muradin, and Poik on Junkrat.
On the right side in the red, Alex the Pro G playing Blaze, Crosby on Phoenix, Make on Medivh, Grandpa Kit to play Rhaegar, and Rimmer. Zach on Numerak. He's been really enjoying that region master at level 1 as of late. Constantly rotating around, trying to finish that off with that extra health in the late game.
This is going to be a fun one here, especially Maiev as such an early pick is something that I'm especially excited about. You would have expected Maiev if she comes out to be later on in the draft, but the high priority really suggests that it's something they want to play to counteract that first pick Medivh that we saw on the side of Tricked Esports. Phoenix, of course, we're going to keep an eye on him. So far, he sits below a 50% win ratio in Europe, but maybe Tricked is able to change that. Crosby here already trying to keep away from Snitch. Good displacement, as we saw Maiev first with a tether, and then Junkrat immediately trying to catapult them into tower range.
Trying to keep up the damage, but the portal is helpful here. Blaze and Numerak actually here in the top lane, trying to catch Dehaka. Can they actually get him? Gonna have the Rimmer walk up. There goes the Jet Propulsion. Does he have the Impale? Looks like he may have used that a little bit earlier there. Will be low on health, but the idea, very focused from Tricked Esports. Keep Dehaka on his back foot, and then of course peel off the Numerak later for other kills.
Tricked Esports, they just took down the Zealots. Can they today actually also drop a couple of games of Dignitas for them? It would actually be great here. Spray game is on point up at the top where we see Wooby go up against Alex. This is actually always fun, especially on the off lane. You have oftentimes so much banter going on, and that's happening between Alex and Wooby as we speak. Down here, on the other hand, we have still trying to get a couple of stacks together. Phoenix Crosby, he's currently sitting at 7 on his advanced targeting. Already Snitch again with a tether. He himself gets knocked up though. Vault of the Wardens keeps him alive as he jumps over the wall and taps at the fountain to re-engage into the battle.
That was scary for both Dignitas and Tricked Esports.
Yeah.
First off, Maiev got low on health, but Malfurion kept her alive. The root from Zelia was perfect to make sure she could land that 2-person tether. And Rhaegar got pulled into turret range, but because 5 members there, Tricked Esports was able to go ahead and back up. Team Dignitas, however, with the 5 people in the middle, have taken both shrines in an attempt to grab the dragon. However, with Crosby rotating in the south, we're going to have that tug of war that we typically see on Dragonshire.
It's already a lot of pressure from both teams here. We saw the kill pressure in the mid lane through Tricked, and then, of course, the 2 shrines taken by Dignitas forced Tricked Esports to go for a heavy defense here. We also have a few adjustments when it comes to build now, because when you look at the level 4 talent on the side of Phoenix Crosby, then we have target acquired, now taken. So again, we have that slight movement speed advantage after you get the basic attacks in. So super important here too, since just recently the trend has been to get the extra movement speed after your shield is depleted, just to be a bit on the safer side. So now more chase potential activated by Crosby as they are trying to just snowball these fights.
And we also have that change up a level 1. I don't know if you point this out here for Dehaka, moving into tissue regeneration instead of the extra movement speed that you typically see. Looks like we're going to go for a little bit more of a tanky Dehaka. Once you're able to finish off this quest, you make sure that you are actually increasing regeneration of health. And it goes up by 4, up to about a total of 40, which is pretty insane to see there. So we'll see if that pays off for our Dehaka. Won't be seeing him flank as much, but maybe now he can be a bit of a pseudo-tank and take a little bit more of a beating.
Another really important factor about Phoenix and talent adjustments is also going to be the level 7. When you get the extra damage through the plasma cutter from slow targets. It's the main reason, or one of the main reasons, why we saw Thrall being banned out. It's not only because he excels at the solo lane these days, but it's also because his synergy through the slows with Earthquake is absolutely fantastic with Phoenix. And that's exactly the reason why we are also now having Bed of Barbs taken by Remaballer as the level 4 talent on Anubarak. Just trying to provide some additional slows that Phoenix then in the later stages of the game during big team fights can capitalize on.
And now they suddenly have 3 additional teammates that help out with those slows. You have the Totem, you have Blaze Oil. Going to work out for Phoenix. 7 about to hit 4 teams. At level 7, we should see that feeding frenzy from the Dehaka, which allows for him to be a little bit more annoying. It's kind of his power spike in lane, being able to reduce the cooldown on his drag, pull people underneath turrets. And speaking of Dehaka, top lane a little bit scary for him. As Rimmer and crew set up a big gank, Dehaka goes for the burrow. There's no one nearby to help out. Malfurion's on his way, but it's going to be too late. As Wubby just takes it in. Wait a minute, does he burrow out? No way. Rimmer reads it though and gets a burrow charge.
Yeah, they keep the cooldowns ready here and they are able to take him out. It takes them a long time, but they get the kill. Now they can push the lane in a bit more. Now, we've been talking a lot about Phoenix win ratio, but we also have to keep in mind that Tricked Esports, the team that currently plays Phoenix here, has only played him once, and they were successful. They have 100% on Phoenix so far. We have seen different teams have different approaches to how they are playing with Phoenix, so Tricked might just have the answer here and showcase how it's done. Level 7 talents are now in play, and as already predicted a bit earlier, there is the combat advantage. So now Phoenix plus Makata deals the extra 50% damage to slow targets. Zelia, with an attempt at going for the Dragon Knight, gets stunned out. And talking about stuns, the Jet Propulsion is putting Snitch for a moment in a bit of an awkward spot, but he's still able to move out.
Able to walk away. And it's actually kind of interesting. You talked about Phoenix a little bit, and we've seen so many different Phoenix players this weekend that we actually have different styles already formulating. Crosby's more of a safe type of Phoenix, poking, using that AoE long distance, making sure to do what he can in terms of damage, going in for Plasma Cutter once he knows the fight is won, whereas Nick might be a more aggressive stutter-stepping type of Phoenix play. It's kind of cool to see how versatile he is as a hero and what you can do with him. Speaking of being versatile, Tether comes out from Snitches. He gets 3 members, pulls Grandpa Kid in, and they almost get a kill.
Yeah, they're actually doing really well. Tricked currently is doing just an excellent job. The question is always, what happens once Dignitas really gets their momentum going? And this is already happening here with the Dragon Knight just now taken. Remabola is a bit too late, so is Marke, and now the first Dragon Knight has been captured by Dignitas, and they are just excellent at running with these early game advantages, propelling themselves forward to the next talent here, and then just avalanching through the map, and that's what we're seeing from them now. It's one of the reasons why they are so successful on Dragonshire. Their coordination in their macro game is just spot on, and that results now in a track record of 8 wins and 0 losses of Dragonshire.
Yeah, they've pulled 3 members of Tricked Esports in the middle of the deal with this Dragon, and they start beating on top of the 4. That'll have Malfurion to peel off to the bottom side, where Junkrat's already cleared out the wave, and that means they can start to clear those turrets up, maybe get damage on the fort. They really are squeezing out every ounce of lemonade when it comes to this Dragon.
And they actually get a fort with the first Dragon Knight here, or at least they get it so low that they can take it at any point. Super impressive here. The 10s are in for both teams at this point. And once again, we're seeing for Phoenix, of course, the Purification Salvo. No big surprises when it comes to heroic abilities yet. Mark is holding his own back for a second, but it is going to be the Leyline Seal, not the Polybomb that we are seeing in this game. Quite a lot of tools that they still have for control in those fights. Have the Leyline Seal, have a Cocoon, and of course then also the layer defenses with Bunker in particular.
Now looking over to Wubby, just to keep an eye on his tissue regeneration. Currently at 6 stacks out of the 10 they need, so it looks like an extra 24 health. The regeneration popping out for him every second, so that's nice to see. Going to be having Team Dignitas grouping up on the bottom with this Night Cam, but Tricked Esports clears it up really quick though. Team Dignitas in a position where they can try to siege down this board a little bit after they clear out these Giants, and Dahaka can go on to double soaking duty, which he is doing now as he heads to the middle lane.
Yeah, we also have Marke completing his quest on Medivh, so super important for him. It elevates or relieves a bit of the pressure that he was definitely feeling in a lot of these fights. And he just got targeted a second ago by Muradin before that happened. Talking about getting targeted, Gran Paquete needs to be careful here. Poik was actually attempting to push him in with the displacement through Junkrat. That didn't quite work out. Wubby gets body blocked in the mid lane. Alex with a fantastic stutter step, even dropping the bunker. But it's not gonna be enough. Wubby survives, even with the Purification Salvo coming in. Snitch also still in play, and Gran Paquete is low and has to hightail it out of there. Nice fight by Tricked and a really good attempt, but Team Dignitas with a turnaround attempt.
And Poik was so close to getting kills there, even dropping down that mine to try and knock back Blaze, who was going to go for the portal. Had he got the knockback, could have gone to the turrets, and as you mentioned, Grandpa Kid getting low, but so far, this has been a close series in terms of brawling, but no results yet. Only 1 kill so far for Tricked Esports.
Exactly. We have a single kill 8 minutes into the game, even with the Dragon Knight that was captured earlier. Now, Dignitas, of course, running with that experience advantage they gained by taking down the structures in the middle. They will have the earlier level 13 talent, but Tricked is still aggressively looking for potential kills, especially against Dahaka.
Dahaka playing a bit safe here in the top lane. It's going to help out with that Night Cam. He sees there is at least 2 up here in the top lane, as Tricked Esports will be doing their best to grab the Shrine, but this should open up Team Dignitas on the bottom. They actually get a bit aggressive. They grab the Giants to the left. You see Snitch here on the top right. 1, scouting out if anyone's be rotating through that choke, but 2, if Medivh ever drops down, he can help dive this fort with the rest of his team. Tricked Esports on the other side are looking for a 4-man gang on Dahaka on the top, and Wubby is just playing safe.
Yeah, they can try and trade here now, though. This is really good for Trick because they might lose the fort at the bot lane, but if they're actually fast enough to push through the top here, that would be a decent trade for them in terms of experience. Their issue is that Dignitas, of course, doesn't stop at the fort. They are now trying to pressure the keep itself, and that's when Trick has to decide how they're going to deal with it. They need to rotate here, especially since we are having the Siege Giants helping out and just making that push even stronger.
this has been a great push for Dignitas. The Keith turret, as you mentioned, the gate already down. Rimmer's in position for that flank. But remember, Dahaka can come down at any point. Dahaka is able to save his fort in the top lane as well. Cocoon comes out on Malfurion. Dahaka will rotate down. Alex is ready for it as he looks towards it. Isolation comes out and lands on Rhaegar. That prevents the Ancestor healing.
The Purification Salvo is in. The cage comes through. A Snitch goes deep. Alex needs to be careful here. Once again, the drag just as the portal is there. Maka is trying to keep Phoenix alive, but it's not enough. Great play here by Dignitas, and once again the Dahaka tongue coming through and ending Phoenix as he was going deep. Tricked didn't have 13 for the fight. Unfortunate for them here, and great play by Dignitas with a fantastic kill initiated by Wooby.
That was just a master lesson from Team Dignitas on how to use your heroics as a form of zoning control. The Warden's Cage keeping Tricked Esports back. And Alex approaching, actually trying to force this fight here. Force of Will comes out, trying to pop his Sim Drone as well, looking to keep up with the engage. He'll have jump propulsion pretty soon. Is he going to try and force this? No. He's going to back up. Both shrines grabbed. Dignitas going to back up to this middle shrine. Can they grab the dragon? Wubby about the channel. Yeah,
Wooby is going to get the next dragon here, and this is, of course, the second one in the game for Dignitas. They excel at Dragonshire. They are so good at this map. And again, they're going straight through the middle here. JPL, even with the invade, they of course see that the camp is being taken here, and they want it. They're going to try and get it here. The Cocoon comes out as Remaballer is attempting to steal it away, but Junkrat is denying it immediately. Poik, on the other hand, finds himself in an awkward spot. They get the kill against Rhaegar, and they take down a Nuburak with Junkrat surviving through all of it. This is a disaster for Tricked. Alex is playing the bunker game in and out, hoping that Medivh can help him here, but in the end, Blaze still falls, and that's a triple kill, a camp stolen away, and nearly a 3-level lead at this point for Team Dignitas.
Poik finds a way to impress me every single week. First off, the knock-up to make sure they can secure the Night Camp taken away, so they grab the Night Camp to get the Spell Aura, and then he had about a half an inch where he could step into the Spell Aura and make sure he didn't have to take any damage from his opponents, or at least have that reduced, and then Zelia coming up there to bring the heal. Poik, with barely a sliver of life, having the mindset to stay alive there. Beautiful play. Team Dignitas at level 16, and they take a keep.
The keep is down 11 minutes into the game, and Dignitas, they are looking fantastic here. Such a massive lead in experience already, and they're just not stopping at the mid lane. They're immediately starting to move down to the bottom, trying to capitalize on the level 16 talent advantage to move in and see if they can get a kill. And JPL, of course, in typical Dignitas fashion, on level 16 with his Mirrodin, not aiming for Stoneform, going for the Dwarf launch instead, trying to get these aggressive jumps into the backline and ending up with an immediate Stormbolt. Great for the initiation on solo lanes as well, as we are seeing them go in again. And here comes Blaze in trouble. Ancestral comes in as Whoopi goes for the drag, but the tether from Snitch, and he takes Phoenix down.
And Rhaegar just stuck. Riptire to pop off, does the damage. Alex Pro will be the third to go down. Make might be next here. If JPL has a Stormbolt, he lands it. Force of Will comes out, but Make, it's just not enough, buddy. He's going to be taken out too. And JPL jumping behind the keep into the area of the core as Team Dignitas is going to attempt to take a 12-minute and 30-second core.
Nuburak, in the meantime, is trying to get some extra experience up at the top. It's not going to really help them. Core is already going to go down here. Tricked losing game number 1 as Team Dignitas is in dominant fashion, taking another victory on Dragonshire. 9-0 on the map at this point. Fantastic play by Dignitas.
Just a full display of why Dignitas is so strong this season. Honestly, holding off until the mid-game, sure we had the pick in the top lane with the 3-man gank on top of Dahaka, but Dignitas didn't let them phase that at all. As soon as they got to the situation where they could actually get into a fight, they zoned out all of Tricked Esports in that bottom right corner. It got them 1 kill, but that gave them enough momentum to take the map, fully control the Giants, and start pushing in.
Yeah, it was really well done, and a lot came down to the drag again and the focus on Phoenix. Now, again, Phoenix is actually doing fairly well for Tricked Esports when it comes to damage output. In this game, they didn't really confirm more than the original kill against Whoopi at the top lane. But if you compare the numbers on Phoenix that we get from Tricked Esports to other teams, it's still pretty solid here. Still, another loss for Phoenix, now sitting at 5 wins and 7 losses, and starting to fall farther and farther in the priority during draft.
The Dahaka build, interesting in that level 1 change-up, allowing him to be a little bit more tanky, and he was actually a focus for Tricked Esports on a couple of his rotations, but being able to survive through the extra regeneration helping out, and the Essence too was just